Good morning.
So, yeah, so we were discussing about discrimination in ad delivery. So, if you think carefully, uh, like whenever there is an ad that needs to be posted on Facebook or any other platform for that matter, like you have a few parties out there. One, the one of the most important party is the advertiser. Okay, is the advertiser itself. So this is one part of the stakeholder. So as I was discussing about stakeholders last day, so this is one part of the stakeholder. So this person actually, this person or group of persons actually, they select the target audience, that is the audience to whom they want their ad to reach. Okay, they design the ad and also they enter the bid. So basically, like getting an ad space on Facebook, it doesn't come free. So you have to place a bid, and it's like an auction where you have to participate and you have to then win a position in order to place your ad. So these are typically like the tasks that an advertiser would do. So majorly three things. One is to select the audience to whom they want the ad to reach, the design of the ad, and entering the bid for the ad. And then this part is typically known as ad targeting. So these tasks of the advertiser, okay, together is termed as ad targeting. Fine. Now this is how the Facebook like ad posting portal looks like. So basically here, if you see, there are certain things that are of relevance. Okay, so the first thing is that you want to target a particular geography or demography. In this case, the example states that the advertiser is interested in targeting the entire population of the United States. Also, the advertiser is like targeting both the genders, as well as the advertiser is targeting anybody between the age of 18 to 65 plus. So that is the maximum age range that is possible, okay, to be selected. So as such, apart from the demography, you don't see any preferential treatment in the choice of the target. Okay, so the advertiser does not show any preferential treatment in the choice of the target. In fact, the advertiser can show a preferential treatment by excluding certain people. So it is square, but then Facebook seems to allow the advertiser to actually exclude certain set of people, and you can actually choose the demographics that you do not want to target, people's interests, behaviors, etc. So those people will not be targeted. And the good part of this is that, like, once you have selected this target, okay, this target population, including the demography and the gender and age, Facebook shows you like how many people this ad could potentially reach to. Okay, so and it is telling you that the target selection, that the audience selection that you have done is fairly broad. So it starts from specific to broad, and since the meter is toward the broad, so you have a good hunch of the fact that the target selection is fairly broad. And on a daily basis, Facebook is going to deliver somewhere between 2200 to 6300 ads, okay, on the profiles of the targeted audience from this particular set. Okay, this is what is an estimate that is given to the ad targeting agency or the advertiser, like when the advertiser is trying to post an ad. Okay, so these are some of the important uh, things or important like basic statistics that Facebook provides you if you log in as an advertiser on the portal. Okay, so now uh, Facebook, as I told you, it's very queer, but then Facebook allows you to exclude users by their race. So of course there could be some other types of factors by which one advertiser might want to exclude certain subset of people, but then excluding based on race seems like pretty queer. So, and already you start sniffing some sort of discrimination out there. For instance, say like the advertiser is typically uh, like a housing advertisement agency. Okay, the advertiser wants to show housing advertisements to the target population. Now Facebook allows you to actually exclude people from certain ethnic affinity, like for instance, see here, if African American, Asian American, Hispanic. So these are the people whom the advertiser can exclude from showing the ad. So basically, these ads related to like housing or first time buying of house, these ads would never reach people of this particular ethnic groups. Okay, so this, there was an interesting report by again by ProPublica, who did the initial recidivism study that we discussed in class. So if you're interested, just search like by this title, like Facebook advertisers exclude users by race, ProPublica, and you will get to read the article. That's an interesting article in itself, in its own right. Okay, so that is something like in the name of narrowing audience that Facebook allows you to do. This is the specific link where you can go and read up the article, like if you are interested. Okay, so that's the advertiser part. Now, this is the targeting part, where these are the three tasks as we have seen. Now, there is the other part, other subset of the task, which is ad delivery. Who is responsible for this? So target audience selection, designing of ad, bidding, all these are job of advertiser. Whose job is ad delivery? Who will deliver the ad? Who will deliver the ad? No idea. Where is the advertiser depositing its data?
I think Facebook.
Yes. So data deposited to FB, right? And the delivery of the ad is handled by the platform. Remember, we talked about platform yesterday? In this case, the platform is FB. So the delivery is fully controlled and manipulated by the platform. Okay. So that's why ad delivery is such an important thing to study. And in this particular work that we are going to talk about, the authors try to audit the ad delivery mechanism of Facebook. Okay, that was their idea. Yeah, this we have already discussed. Okay, so now this particular work that we are going to read, okay, this was published in CSCW, and the name of the paper was Discrimination Through Optimization, How Facebook's Ad Delivery Could lead to Skewed Outcomes. This was again by Ali Muhammad and Krishna Gumadi's group. So this was a joint work by Ali Muhammad and Alan Mislav. So Ali was at that time possibly doing an internship with Alan, and they jointly wrote this paper. And this was one of the very highly cited and very highly appreciated paper. In fact, the US Justice Department actually invited the authors to have a like open discussion about their findings, and based on this, like Facebook was recommended to like look into this paper, look at the points or the concerns raised in this paper, and in address to this, Facebook actually had to modify their ad targeting policy. In fact, the interesting part is they uh, said that they have modified their ad targeting policy, but then, like when the authors again re-audited that ad targeting policy, again they found similar sorts of like biases, like similar sorts of biases were still found to exist, only like the tests, the audits that they did was a little bit, were a little bit more nuanced, but the same kind of biases again featured. Anyway, so long story short, this was a very impactful paper in the community. Okay, so basically, there has been a lot of research interest, like following up this paper, and like we have also tried to do some of the things, like as I was telling you, in the e-commerce domain. But let us look at this work in a little bit more details. So basically, as I said, that if you recall, the designing of the ad is based on the advertiser. So you as an advertiser, if you want to post an advertisement, you have to design your ad. Say for instance, you design your ad using some text snippets, okay, a picture, and some of the things that are auto-filled by Facebook. Okay, so the first descriptive text, this is actually entered by the advertiser. Okay, then the image, this is also manually selected by the advertiser. Okay, there is a domain that you see here that is automatically populated by Facebook. Okay, the headline, this is also automatically populated by Facebook. And then there is another description that is also populated by Facebook. So these are like automatically populated by Facebook. Okay, so there are two things that are filled in by the particular advertiser. So one is the basic descriptive text and the photo, and the other three, the domain, the headline, as well as the follow-up description, these are all actually populated automatically by Facebook. Now, what the authors observed, that like even when the targeting parameters, so if you recall, the targeting parameters were demography, okay, say in this case US, gender, say in this case all, and age, say in this case 18 to 65 plus. So say these were the vanilla targeting parameters. even when these targeting parameters were like were having no biases in them, the advertiser actually did not introduce any bias in these targeting parameters. Okay, uh, so even then there is a lot of skew in the ad delivery that is observed. Okay, so even when all these parameters actually look fair, there is no, so everything is very inclusive in nature. No removal based on ethnicity, based on gender, based on age. Nothing as such has been indicated by the advertiser. So the advertiser had a very vanilla choice. Even then, even after that, we observe, or the authors observed, that there is a high skew in the ad delivery. Okay, so certain section of people obtain a particular ad or get to see a particular ad much more than the other section of the people. And of course, as you can understand, again, there is this idea of sensitive attribute. So, so some protected class members do not get to see certain ads, whereas some other protected class members, so whereas some other unprotected class members get to see those ads. Okay, so let's look at these two advertisements. Okay, this is the first advertisement that we have already seen, and this is the other advertisement when we have already seen. Now there is no bias in the ad targeting by the advertiser. Okay, there is no bias in the ad targeting by the advertiser. Okay, so basically the advertiser is fully inclusive for both these ads. So for both these ads, the advertiser is fully inclusive. Okay, so these were like the authors themselves subscribed as advertisers, so they could therefore control like what preferences they wanted to choose. And in both these cases, they did not choose any specific preference, like it was the entire US audience, the largest possible age range, the all the, I mean, both the genders. Okay, so the authors had the flexibility to do this because they themselves enrolled as advertisers. So in general, if you note that getting Facebook data or crawling Facebook data is very, very difficult. But the moment you pay some money and become an advertiser, you start getting tons of data, as you will see. And the authors did some very cunning experiments using this data. So now tell me, do you have any hunch about the reach? Is there any discrimination that you can think of, given that the ad targeting was fully inclusive? Is there any discrimination that you can think of between the reach? Even like if there is a discrimination, in which like attribute would it be? In which sensitive attribute would it be, do you think? Which sensitive attribute would show a discrimination typically? I mean, like, what is your best guess? Let me remind you, some of the sensitive attributes are race, if you have forgotten, race, gender, age. First of all, do you think that there will be a difference in the reach? Reach means like how many people have been targeted. And if so, if there is a difference in the reach, like under which sensitive attribute or in which protected class is the reach unfair? This is a kind of a trivia. Should be able to guess. No idea. Guess. Let's make it more interactive. Guess. There is no problem in guessing wrong. Probably if I was also reading for the first time, I would not have been able to guess. Just guess.
Sir, gender.
Gender. Very good. Gender. And what is the that's a very good clue. Gender. Okay. And what is the sort of discrimination that you see? Any idea? Gender is correct. Correct.
Sir, the left post will get more reach put to the males, and left
Very
one.
good. So this one, now let me give you the answer. This one reached 85% males and this one reached 5% males. But note that the advertiser did not have any exclusion. Okay, the advertiser did not tell that I want a gender level exclusion. Okay, this was never asked by the advertiser. Even then, this is happening. Can you guess why? So that means there is something that the platform is doing. Platform is using some form of intelligence. Okay, platform is using some sort of intelligence. Can you tell me what? The platform is looking at something and deciding that this should go to males and this should go to females. Even when the advertiser has not told anything like that or did not want anything like that. So the platform is using its own intelligence to find relevance. Can you tell me based on what? Again, guess. What could the platform be deciding upon? You have seen some factors here. The platform can look into this text. The platform can look into the image, the platform, and these are already platform generated. Okay, let me give you the answer. Yeah, so basically, as you see that 85% men received this and only 5% men received this despite identical targeting parameters, as I said. Okay, typically higher budget uh, ads like have more women audience. So therefore, uh, so that this does not introduce any bias in their study, authors fixed all their ads to a fixed amount, $20 product. So they did not go on anything above $20. Okay, because typically they know that higher budget elements target more women. So therefore they had fixed this is the cap. So between $0 to $20 would be their product. So $0 to $20 would be their product cost. Okay, so given this is fixed, there is absolutely no reason why more men should receive this and less men should receive this, unless and until the platform is doing something internally. So in order to test what the platform is doing, the authors did a very simple experiment. Okay, since they were themselves advertisers, they could construct their own ads. Now, slowly, one by one, they started adding features to their to the ad that they built. So let's say they have two ads, bodybuilding and cosmetics. Now, suppose this ad does not have anything, any information except for a top level title. Okay. Then the fraction of men in the audience, what do you see? So suppose they have just this, fashion folk and fashion folk, only this. If they have just that, then what do you see? What is the fraction of men in the audience? There is nothing else in the ad. The ad only contains, both of the ad contains this. Fashion folk as the title, nothing else. So what is the fraction of men in the audience? What do you see? For both bodybuilding and cosmetics, they are same, right? 50-50. Male 50, female 50. Now they add some text to it, and then they add some headline to it. Okay. Slowly, these two moves apart. And then what do you see? What is the next interesting point?
I mean, if we include image, they are going far.
If you include image, they are going the farthest apart. Okay. Basically, once you have included image, the fraction of men in the audience for cosmetics becomes extremely low, and the fraction of men in the bodybuilding becomes extremely high once the image has been included. What does this mean? Of course, we cannot directly say anything because the algorithm is a black box. But what does this mean? Does this tell anything interesting about the intelligence that Facebook is using or the platform is using? What form of intelligence is the platform using in order to like decide its delivery? Is it doing some text processing? What is the main component of that intelligence?
Image processing.
Image processing. So basically, the platform is using the image to decide the delivery. Okay, and image seems to be the most important component in this delivery phenomena. Okay, and therefore this can, so basically the relevance determination is, as I said, fully image classification based. Okay, so the point is that, so like once this is what is happening, then all those ad targeting parameters that we talked about makes no sense, right? So seems like they do not have any relevance. So the ad targeting parameters that were set by the original advertiser, they does not seem to make much sense, because it's mostly the image that is used by the delivery algorithm, and that is what is determining who receives the ad and who doesn't. So the imports that were provided by the advertiser in the first place makes like very little impact, okay, on who receives the ad and who doesn't. So this is a very uh, important problem. Okay, this is something that is like very concerning. So we will see more about why this is concerning. Now suppose you have a picture like this. Okay, so that now the authors try to do some sort of a reverse engineering to see like whether really it's the image that is playing the important role in like deciding the delivery of the ads. So what did they do is they listed the RGB components, okay, the RGB components that are present for this particular image, okay, and they listed out the RGB components. Can anyone tell me what is A? What is A? What is A? In this RGB channel, what is A?
The transparency.
Opacity. Okay, so opacity or the alpha channel. Fine. So now you see what the authors are doing. They are changing the everything remaining same, everything remaining same, all other components, the RGB components remaining same. They are only changing the alpha channel, the opacity. Okay, so they reduced it to half, then they reduced it to almost zero, and now what do you see? There is no picture. Okay, if the opacity is like so, the if the alpha channel is very low, then you don't see any picture at all. Fine. So now with this component, they tried to do the experiment. They tried to repeat the experiment. So you see, this is one of the most cunning experiments, and I find it very funny. So what they did was they once used this picture to target the ad. Okay, so in the ad like design, they use this picture, and in another ad, they use this. Okay, this blank white thing. In one ad they use this, in another one they use this. Similarly here, one ad they use this and one ad they uh, use this. Okay, so in this way, in one where the alpha channel is close to zero, and in the other the alpha channel is the original. even after this, even when they make the alpha channel 0, you see that these invisible pictures are also targeted more to men. Okay, and here these invisible pictures, like even when the like alpha channel is 0, these invisible pictures are actually targeted more to females. Okay, so therefore it kind of becomes obvious, although the algorithm is black box, it kind of becomes obvious that that the ad delivery algorithm or the intelligence in the ad delivery algorithm is in some way analyzing the images embedded in the ad in order to decide the ad delivery. Okay, so images embedded in the ad is used to decide the targets to whom the ad should be delivered. Okay, so this is what is going on. So in this way the authors tried to kind of reverse engineer to some extent to show that it is basically the images that are being used by the ad delivery algorithm in order to like deliver the ads or target the ads. And in this whole business, like the preference of the advertiser is like, I mean, like to me it seems like it has become oblivious. Okay, so now they went on to study something more important and more severe. Okay, so they wanted to study if there is some race based. So in the previous one we saw that there is some gender based differences, okay, in that previous example, and we also saw that the ad delivery algorithm was using a lot of image based content in order to uh, like uh, make the deliveries. Now in this particular set of experiments, what the authors tried to do is to identify if there are some race level biases. Again, to them the interest point was black versus white. Okay, now the problem is that Facebook, when it delivers your ad, it does not give you back the information as to which race people it has delivered. Okay, so basically when you get the statistics back, it does not segregate the statistics based on, say it has, so as I was telling you, like say today it has delivered to 2.2k people, right? So as an advertiser also, you don't get to know that out of these 2.2k people, how many people were black and how many people were white. So this you don't get to know. Even when you have silos of data at your disposal, like as you log in as an advertiser, but even after that you do not have this kind of like finer information which was needed by the author to run through this experiment. So they played a trick. So although the Facebook algorithm does not tell you the exact division of the black and white, but they tell you like these 2.2k ads, how were they delivered across different DMAs. So in US, like the marketing regions are like designated, okay, and these are called the designated marketing areas. Designated marketing areas. Okay, so these DMAs are known to you. So basically, how these 2.2K ads were delivered across the different DMAs is known to you. Basically, all the DMAs like are used not only for this Facebook ad delivery, but they are like an age-old phenomena in the US. For instance, television broadcast, radio broadcast, all these things are actually also segregated based on DMAs. Okay, so the authors like use this DMA in order to somehow make an inference on the race. Okay, so how did they do that? So they actually did their experiments on the North Carolina only. Okay, so they only took North Carolina for their experimental setup, like the experiments that we will look into later on. So for that, they only chose North Carolina. Okay, and for this North Carolina state, they got the voter records. They got the voter records. Now, these voter records is interesting because these have PIIs. Can you tell me what are PIIs? Anybody? Anybody who knows what are PIIs? What are PIIs for in voter records? We also have PIIs. We also have PIIs. What are PIIs? These are personally identifiable information. Oh, I am having some trouble with my pen. Identifiable information. And this personally identifiable information actually also has the race information. So now you have to map this personally identifiable information from the voter records onto the DMAs, because Facebook gives you DMAs, okay, and from voter records you have from voter records you have the race. Now how do I map the PIIs to DMAs? Based on which attribute? Apart from race, there will be other information in the PIIs. Which information do you think can be used to map the PIIs to the DMAs?
Race, right?
No? How will you use race? DMAs does not have any race. DMAs are geographic locations. Like these are the DMAs. Each of these are the DMAs. DMAs are the designated marketing areas, some locations. So and FB returns you these DMAs. This should be easy. Again, this is a like quiz question. PIIs have a very specific information which can be used in this mapping, and that is the only, huh?
Address.
Very good. So the zip code. So DMAs can be mapped to their zip codes, and every PII, this for this person, for every individual person, he will have a zip code. So now you have a zip code to zip code mapping. So since you have a zip code to zip code mapping, you indirectly have a race to zip code to, okay. So therefore, for every individual DMA, you get the density of the dominant race. Okay, you get the density of the dominant race in that DMA. So what they found is that if you picturize or if you visualize the North Carolina map, then these parts are kind of dominant in whites, and these parts are dominant in blacks. Now, once these 2200 ads are delivered across the DMAs, you know which DMA has got how many ads, and from there you know like which race has got how many ads, which race has received how many ads. Is this clear to you? Make sense? Please reciprocate, like tell me if this is making sense, or should we discuss again? So these 2200 DMAs, sorry, 2200 ads will be delivered across different DMAs. So these are each of the DMAs. Okay. So let's name it like X, Y, Z, etc., etc. And each of them have a zip code. And this zip code also actually connects you to the PII, and you know what is the density of black to white here. For each of this, you know what is the density of black to white. And you also know how many ads have been delivered here, how many ads have been delivered here, how many ads have been delivered here. From there, you know like how ads have been targeted to blacks and how ads have been targeted to whites. Okay. Out of these 2200 ads, how many have been targeted to blacks and how many have been targeted to whites. So that is what we finally want to know. Okay. And that is what we get by this like uh, by this longer route. Okay. Because there is no direct route to get this information. So now once they did that, they studied like the ad delivery for two important things. One of them is, I would say, less important, and the next one, which we will study in the next week, is what I will say is more important. Okay, so the first example that we are going to look into today is like how ads about music or song is delivered. Now, these are the top 30 music albums based on some ratings. Okay, these are like the country genre. Okay, the country genre of music in the US, which is very popular in US, and this is another genre which is the hip hop genre, okay, in the US. Now, what do you think about the delivery pattern? What do you think the Facebook intelligence has done? Even when there is absolutely no preference by the advertiser. Make guesses, make guesses. Okay, let me ask this. Which among these should be close to 1:1? Which do you think should be close to 1:1? So I have to assume either of the two things. Either you are finding these answers too trivial that you don't want to say, or I'm not able to explain things properly to you. Which one is it? So let me give you this answer. This one is 1:1. The top music albums reach both the black and the white almost equally. Okay? The population is like 50-50. What about the other two? Which one do you think? So let me ask this. Which one is black skewed? That is more to blacks. And which one is white skewed?
Hip hop should be skewed towards blacks.
Very good. So
Yeah.
this is black skewed. This is what I was asking you all the time. And this one is white skewed. Okay. This is what the authors saw. For the hip hop, the fraction of white users in the audience is very low. And for the country, the fraction of white users in the population is very high. And for top 30, it's roughly 50%. I mean, close to 50%. Okay, so this is like still a fun experiment, but then next week we will see that this does not only uh, remains confined to this kind of um, fun experiment, but is more like more I would say uh, has more ramifications in examples like employment related ad delivery, because many people in Facebook are in the habit of searching employment uh, like and like if you discriminate in the ad delivery, then this is something that is highly concerning. So anybody knows? So we'll stop here on this note. What is this left profession? This is one of the most coveted professions in the US. The right one, you know, right? What is this? It's written. It's a janitor. This profession is a janitor. What about the left one? Anybody knows?
Construction.
No. Heard about the word lumberjack? If not, you should look up in the Wikipedia. This is one of the very highly coveted professions. Okay, so this is average salary per hour here is around $22, and here the average salary per hour is less than $10. Now we will see why we are talking about this, why this is so important, and why I am telling you about the average salary. I guess some of you are already able to guess. Okay, so here like kind of the salary is slightly more than the double. So per hour. So of course this is per hour salary. So you see how you understand how it manifolds along with all the additional perks, benefits, etc. So we will stop here, and next Thursday, so Wednesday we are not having a class. Next Thursday and Friday we will look into more details about this particular paper. Then we'll talk about dark patterns, and then we will move to fake news analysis.